Hey guys, it's Scripted Fan 94 here. I hope you're all having an absolute wonderful day and I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is a submission from Mike, and Mike was very awesome about sharing his experience with me, and he wanted me to retell it so you guys could check it out. So, as always, sit back, relax, get a drink, and let's begin. So, Mike didn't want to give out his actual location, so we're going to say that this took place in Virginia. Mike was on a hunting trip with a couple of his buddies one evening, and he was deer hunting. They all got their stuff unpacked, and they was very close to where they was going to set up their tree stands. And after they got the tree stand set up, it was getting later on into the night, so they decided to go back to their camp and sleep, get something to eat. And the next early morning, they was going to go out, and all three of them was going to go hunting. After all of them got situated, Mike explained to me it was about 11:30, 12 at night, and they all went into their sleeping bags and in their tents. And Mike started to doze off, but then all of a sudden he said it sounded like one of his buddies was outside their camp walking around, maybe going to use the bathroom, or maybe was just trying to get some fresh air. So Mike didn't think much about it. He kind of brushed it off and tried to doze off and get some sleep. Well, he had fell asleep for a little while, but he was awoken by something scratching on his tent. And at first he thought maybe it was coyotes or maybe it was a bear. So he grabbed his pistol, which he had it beside him at night. You're out in the wilderness, you're out in the woods, you're going to need a form of protection. And he started to open up the tent door, unzip it. And as he poked his head out, he saw the back end of what he thought was a bear running into the woods. But the thing that threw him off about it, it wasn't on all fours. It was on two legs and it ran in. So, to give you some context, Mike explained to me that he did not believe in Bigfoot or any kind of cryptid whatsoever before all of this happened. So, he thought that it was a bear. So, being curious of what he saw, he decided to get all of his gear on. He grabbed his rifle, he grabbed his pistol, and he started following this thing into the woods. Mike explained to me as he was following it through the woods, it dipped down into a valley and there was a little creek at the bottom of it. And as he reached that top, this thing was sitting at the very bottom and it was drinking some water. He shined his flashlight directly in the face of this thing, and this thing looked right up at him and stood up. And it was standing on its 2 feet, looking back at him. And this thing looked at him and gave a really horrible roar, just right, right, right at him. It scared him enough that he ran back to camp, screaming for his friends to get out of their bags and go to the truck. So all three of the guys were running like hell towards the truck. They had heard this thing roar as well, and as they were running, Mike felt something just hit him right in the back of the head. I mean, enough to, as he explained, made him see some stars while he was running. And as he was running to the truck, he and one of his other friends was the first ones to get in, and his friend behind him was a little bit farther behind. And he legitimately jumped straight into the back of the truck, and they hightailed it out of where they was hunting at. Mike told me that his friend looked at him and he said, "Hey man, you're bleeding in the back of your head. I can see it coming down your neck." And Mike, obviously, he felt the back of his head, and he said his hand, well, his palm was full of blood. And he looked at his friend. He said, "I don't know what happened, but something hit me in the back of the head." So they drove straight home. They did not stop. They did not go back and get their gear or nothing. They drove straight home back to Mike's house. They got into his house, and his friend started trying to help him clean up his wound. And he said in the back of his head there was an indentation that was about that size, that looked like somebody had taken a rock and threw it really hard and hit him in the back of the head. And his friend told him that he seen what he had followed down to the creek, that it was running behind them. And it seemed like it was a very angry or disturbed thing that was trying to do them harm. So they all came to the conclusion that they had just been attacked by a Sasquatch. And I think personally, Mike, as he explained this to me, that I think that they overstepped their boundaries where they went hunting at. I think that was Bigfoot's territory, and that they shouldn't have been hunting in that area. Mike told me that he had lost contact with one of his friends that went on that hunting trip with him. What turned out to be a hunting trip was a very short lived hunting experience that he would never forget. He explained to me that he will never go back into that area that he and his friends went hunting at, and that some things are better left alone. And if you come across something like this, you better go the other way. It's an absolutely horrifying experience that they had. You know, I feel so bad for Mike that he is not able to even go back into the woods anymore because of the experience that he had. I mean, this Bigfoot picked up a rock and threw it and hit him in the back of the head with it. You know, and then being chased by something like that because you ended his territory or whatever the case may be. You know, we got to realize that Bigfoots are very territorial and they protect their land. I want to give a big shout out to Mike for letting me share his experience. And thank you, Mike, if you are watching this, for coming out and sharing your experience with me so I could share it with all of these guys. You know, you never have to be afraid to share your experience with us. But that is going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much for being part of this community. It means the absolute world to me. God bless every single one of you and your families, and I hope you have an absolute wonderful day. Take care.